I just watched this interview with Daniel Dubois and this other interview here with his trainer Shane McGuigan. And Daniel Dubois says in this interview that he has lost quite a bit of weight going into this fight on Saturday on the Fury Chisora undercard. He's been laying off the heavy weightlifting, which is music to my ears, because as you guys know, I'm not really a fan of fighters bulking up and gaining loads of muscle. For me, from what I've seen, it tends to be more to their detriment than anything else. I'm sure they will gain in certain areas, benefit them to a certain extent, but it's a hindrance more so than a benefit more often than not. And Daniel Dubois has been talking about working on his speed, and his trainer Shane McGuigan is someone who's very big on biomechanics. He's someone who likes his fighters to be loose and limber and fluid and relaxed. And certainly since Lawrence Okolie has been with Shane McGuigan, I've seen an improvement in Lawrence Okolie's biomechanics, the way he moves and so on and so forth, particularly that fight he had with Krzysztof Glowacki. He was far smoother and, as I say, more fluid than he used to be. So with Daniel Dubois, I haven't noticed any major changes yet, but for this fight on the weekend against Lorena, I'm very interested to see what his weight is going to be, because if we have a look at his record here, Dubois, despite being 6'5", he isn't the heaviest guy in the world. So he turned pro at 231 pounds. And for his last fight against Trevor Bryan, here we go, he was 241. Before that, he was 238. So if he says he's laid off the weightlifting, what kind of weight is he going to come in at here? Because he's making out as though he's really, really slimmed down. So are we going to see him in the low 230s, mid 230s? Be very interested to find out. And the interviewer asked him whether he still has the same punching power since he's lost this weight. And he says, yeah, he still has the same punching power, or even more punching power. And his trainer Shane McGuigan talked about refining Daniel Dubois' punching power, getting him to be more explosive with the shots, faster with the shots, more snap, etc. And you can get that when you stop doing so many weights and when you're faster, just working on the biomechanics. I always found that shadow boxing is a very, very underrated method of improving your punching power. Yes, shadow boxing, but you have to do it the right way. And when I say the right way, there are so many professional fighters, well, all fighters, amateur and pro, who when they're shadow boxing, they're just poking their arms out. They're not actually completing the full movement, the full rotation, as if they're actually punching an opponent, throwing the punches when they're shadow boxing out with snap, turning them over, getting on the ball of your right foot if you're throwing a straight right hand, and proper twisting, bending your knees, rotating those hips, and doing it with snap over and over again, throwing punches while you're shadow boxing like you're trying to knock somebody out. You see, if you actually do this and do a lot of this kind of shadow boxing all the time, your punching power, I found when I was boxing, will improve a lot. And when you hit the bag, you'll find that, you're making an impact on the bag at the optimum distance when you start shadow boxing like that. So your distance will be better. You'll be, because when it comes to hitting hard, you don't want to be too close and you don't want to be too far away. Because if you're too far away, the power from the punch will have dissipated somewhat. Right? If you're catching the bag or the target or your opponent at the end of the punch. And if you're too close, you haven't got the full rotation yet. You haven't got the full velocity of the punch going yet. So it's all about catching the target at the optimum distance. And correct shadow boxing will help you do this. If you do it repetitively over and over again, every day or every other day for a long time, not poking your arms out to try and work up a sweat or just, half-hearted punches, proper punches. Yeah. And one of the reasons I used to do this is because I saw Mike Tyson shadowboxing like that. When he would shadowbox, he would throw proper punches. None of the poking your arms out stuff, proper punches. And yeah, it really does work for improving your technique, because punching power really is mostly down to biomechanics, technique, more so than physical strength. Biomechanics, technique, and a lot of the time speed as well, although there are plenty of big punchers who are not fast. But speed can help. So again, I'm very interested to see how Daniel Dubois looks in this fight against Lorena, what he's going to weigh in at the weigh-in on Friday, and whether he's more fluid and explosive, etc. Because in recent videos, of course, I've spoken about the fact that Dubois is Bruno-esque. He's not fluid. He's upright. He's a bit stiff. And how maybe a fighter like an Anthony Joshua, potentially even a Dylan White, might be able to take advantage of that. Plus the fact that Daniel Dubois did surrender in his fight against Joe Joyce. So to me, there's still question marks about Daniel Dubois. But he's certainly young enough to improve. He's got plenty of potential. So let's see if he's going to show any major improvement this Saturday. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about Daniel Dubois losing the weight. I know I'm going to get the muscle heads. I always do in the comment section, all upset because I'm suggesting that lifting loads of weights isn't a good idea and it doesn't tend to benefit you in boxing. I know in MMA, people in there swear by weightlifting, and maybe it helps them a bit more in MMA, right? If you're going to be doing a lot of grappling on the ground and stuff like that, I don't know. But I'm a boxing guy. And for the longest time, right, for all these decades, I've been following the sport and I participated in the sport. The vast majority of the time, I've seen weights be far more detrimental than helpful for fighters. And when I say weights, I don't just mean doing weights. I mean when you're putting on loads of muscle. Yeah? When you're gaining 5, 10, 15 pounds of muscle, that usually is going to hurt you more than help you. Let me know what you guys think in the comments.
If you're tired of the biased narratives and mass censorship on mainstream platforms, and you want to be part of a community of critical thinkers who love free speech just as much as you do, then come and join me on Patreon and access my weekly no-holds-barred, censorship-free podcast where we lift the lid on a wide variety of controversial topics. It's not mainstream friendly, it's not politically correct, but that's the whole point. We dare to stand as a beacon of reason against an army of insanity. Just head on over to my Patreon page and select the tier called Hatman Hot Topics. You'll gain access to a minimum of 2 hours of exclusive content every single week, including podcasts, videos, interviews, live stream Q&As, as well as my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. Not to mention a vast back catalog of hundreds of hours of previous episodes. You can listen via the Patreon app with the option to download in high quality MP3. We've also got an Element group where you can come and chat and hang out with myself and other members. Unlike Discord, it has full end-to-end encryption, is decentralized, and is 100% censorship free. You can also send voice notes as well as much larger audio and video files than you can on Discord. So come and sign up on Patreon. There's no contract, there's no commitment, you can cancel at any time, and it's cheaper than a cup of coffee. So I'll see you over there. I'm out.